Hello, everyone. How are we all doing today? I'm glad to see us all here today. Of course, today we'll be looking at an interesting topic as usual. But before I commence, um, I would like to say, let us know where you're joining us from. You can put in your location in the chat screen, right? Putting your location in the chat screen, and of course, we can commence or begin from there. As you all know, my name is Promise Uche Nwachku. I'm the community leader for this particular community, the Microsoft Foundry and Azure user group. And also, I'm an MVP, a Microsoft MVP for the Microsoft Foundry and the Azure category. Right. So today we are looking at an interesting topic. Yes, an interesting topic. And in case you're not aware, or if you're not aware, um, Microsoft Foundry has been something that has been, I would say, people just want to know how it works. What's it all about? What does it do? How do you work with it? And all of that, right? So, today we will take a look into an interesting topic called observability in Microsoft Foundry Control Plane. So that's going to be an topic for today. So, like I said, if you're joining us, let us know where you are joining us from. Of course, we are happy to meet you, to see you on this channel. Right. And of course, if this is your first time of hearing about Microsoft Foundry, sure, let us know so we can, give you some interesting, will I say, resources that would help to give you a better understanding on what Microsoft Foundry is all about. All right. Without further ado, I will commence with the session. I hope to, at the end of the day, to be able to have explained this in such a way that you will have a better understanding of the topic itself. Right. So that's the plan for today. And of course, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to ask your questions. Of course, we'll be here to provide as much answers as we can. All right, let's proceed. So, as I mentioned, we are looking at an interesting topic for today, observability in Microsoft Foundry Control Plane. And this topic is quite interesting, I must say. Yes, it's interesting because you get to understand how Microsoft Foundry actually works. You get to understand how Microsoft Foundry actually works and what you can do to be able to understand how your agents work, if your agents are performing as they should, right? That is the whole essence of this topic. You want to be able to understand how your agents work. You want to be able to understand, oh, are they actually carrying out the task for which you have configured the agents to do. So for instance, you know that when creating your agent, you give your agent instructions, right? You tell your agents what you want your agents to do. You tell your agent how you want your agents to perform, right? So, in this particular scenario, we will be taking a look on observability on the Microsoft Foundry Control Plane. To do this, I decided I don't want to really do much of talking, or let me say much of the theory, but I like us to have a hands-on session. Yes. So I like us to have a hands-on session. So we are going to be going through a workshop, right? We're going to be going through a workshop, and while doing this, we would actually see how to set up our agents, how to configure the agent, and how to actually observe how those agents are working using the AI skills feature that has been recently added to the platform. All right, guys, so come with me. Um, but before I delve down to the actual workshop, let me give a rundown on what we discussed the last time. For those of you that remember, I actually did share a couple of diagrams regarding this, right? So this is what the the Microsoft Foundry Control Plane actually looks like, right? It's a centralized management interface that helps you, understand everything about your agent, your models. You want to understand what traffics are going through your models. Microsoft Foundry Control Plane is the place to go. All right, then let's dive right in. Right. So on this, to be able to do this, I would say we are going to be looking at a workshop, like I said, and the workshop we are going to be looking at is this is the you see the Microsoft Foundry end-to-end agent observability workshop, and I will be going through or explaining what we need to do in order to have this set up. If you're joining me for the first time, right, or you want to understand how this works, you can also, what's the word? You can fork the repo, right? You can fork the repo from here, right? That's one thing you want to do. Yeah, you can do that, right? So you can actually do that, right? Or you can clone the repo itself if you are wondering how to fork the repo. Um, Yeah, so these are existing forks. So yeah, you can create a new fork of this particular repo and you have it in your own environment, right? Good. So for this lab session, like I mentioned, we'll be looking at this workshop. It takes roughly around 75 minutes, but I've done some work already, right? So that should reduce the amount of time we spend on the workshop. All right. So, first things first, I will tell you that these are the steps we are going to be taking in order to have this workshop set up. We are going to be taking these steps, and of course, they would be in a step by step procedure. Well, while we are looking into that, I'd like us to enable our code space. Yes, because code spaces, sometimes take some time to load. So while we are actually explaining and giving you a brief of what we intend to do, we will be working with the code space just to ensure the code space is up and running by the time we are ready. All right, so of course you can see the code space is running. But while the code space is setting up, as you can see here, it's still trying to set up, it's still trying to bring up all the necessary files from the repo. While that is going on, I would explain to you what we intend to do here, right? So in this particular workshop, we are carrying out four steps. One is the infrastructure setup, the dev environment setup, and of course, activate, observe, scale, right? Then, of course, if you want to do a manual process, you can actually do it in a manual process. But actually, what you need are just the first three steps. Now, I've been able to complete the first step, and the first step is nothing more than just your infra setup. And what this includes is, setting up your agent. So if you see here on the Azure portal, you can see here, this is my Foundry project. It's loading. Okay, maybe I should go back. I like to duplicate this. Yeah, I'll duplicate it so that, yeah, it doesn't take away that. So awesome. I'm gonna authenticate. Yes, I'll authenticate again. So this is my project itself, the AI project itself, and that's what the first step is telling us about. Generally, you just have to create a project, right? Once you create the project, you create an agent in the project. So you can see here that in my project, I already have an agent. You can see under the assets. So you can see the agents are loading. Yeah, I have all projects here, but maybe I can just pick the project I need, which is this, right? And you can see that I have my agent running as well. You can see. So on this agent, of course, you can see some. Yeah, we are not getting any values or anything yet, but we plan to see how we can get some metrics in here, right? So that's about it. That's about it. So that's the agent in question. And of course, if you see the next step, it's about being able to communicate with your agents. As you see in here, here is a playground for the agent itself, meaning I can um, ask some questions. Can you help me plan a trip, or let me say a 7 day trip from the Netherlands to maybe I'll say the Maldives, and other interesting locations. Right? So you can see this is me, just trying to chat with my agent, right? So because it's what's the word? It's a travel agent. You can see that it just gives me, you know, all of the things I would need for a 7 day itinerary, right? You can see it says here, depart from the Netherlands, arrive Sri Lanka, discover Sri Lanka cultural heart, and from here to the Maldives to the island bliss and adventures. So it says why Sri Lanka plus Maldives work so well. You can see alternative twin center options: Dubai, India, Singapore, or Thailand, right? You can see, right? What consultant travel can handle for you, international and regional flight. So the agent itself can actually do these features for me. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that amazing? Right? So yes, that's that. So now I think we are good on the first part. we've created the agent, we have some app insights going on, right? You can see the agent responses. Yes, so that's basic part about the first step, right? So the idea is just to have your agent going on, and then understand how the agent works, and of course observe, right? Observe. That's something you want to do. You want to be able to observe your agent. So if you see here, under build, you will see. I think I have okay. I've done some traces in the past. You can see some traces here were done in the past, but of course we will actually take a closer look and see how things work, and see that also some evaluations have been done in the past, but let's see how that works. Right. So let's see if our repo is up. Okay, I see that it's still loading. The code space is still being set up. So while the code space is still being set up, um, what we need to do is now take a look into this, which is the dev. Yeah, the dev. Right. So here is the code space. So let's take a look at the dev, right? Setting up the development environment. So one is you need to fork the repo, like I mentioned, right? So once you do that, you then are able to replicate this repo in your own environment, right? You replicate this repo in your own environment, and that's something really, really amazing. Um, of course, you launch GitHub code space on the repo which you forked, and you click on the button in the browser, select the code space tab, and click on create code space. So what is referring to is what we did here what we did here about creating the code spaces, right? And then you click on it. So we already have one that is active, so we don't need to create a new one. But it was explaining what we need to do to have one running, right? So you can see that the code space is actually getting set up. Of course, like I said, it takes some time to actually set up the code space. So that was why I wanted to have it running while we were having the introductory discussion, right? And by the time we are done, of course, we will the code space would have been up, and we can then proceed from there, right? So let me refresh this. Yeah, of course, it still takes us to where it was when it was setting up the code space. Right. Okay. So a new browser comes up, wait till the IDE loads, and of course we are going to do like AZ login, and we are going to set the subscription, and then once we set the subscription, we can then begin to run these commands. Right. We can then begin to run these commands. Once we run the commands, we should be able to have our environment properly configured. Once that is properly configured, we can then go to what? Step 3, which is the activate the observe skill, right? That which is the activate the what? Observe skill. So yes, so let's click here. I think yes, good. Step 3, which is what? Activating the observe skill. So here you need to understand how the Microsoft Foundry skill works. You can see here it says the Microsoft Foundry skill provides a comprehensive guide that teaches the coding agent like GitHub Copilot how to manage the full cycle of Microsoft Foundry AI agents. It is part of the GitHub Copilot for Azure extension that is installed alongside the AI toolkit extension in the what? Dev container. So here it basically tells you about the Microsoft Foundry skills, and understanding soft skills, right? You see, it says the Microsoft Foundry skill provides structured workflows or soft skills that cover key capabilities like deploying, evaluating, invoking, and troubleshooting AI agents hosted in what? Microsoft Foundry. So anything about the skills generally is to help you understand more on your agent, right? So here are some of the flow which the skills work with, and here is how you set up your default project in what AI toolkit, right? So this is how you actually carry out the setup, right? This is how you carry out the setup. So you see, these are the steps you take, right, before proceeding. But let's see if our code space is up. Okay, code space is still loading. It's still loading. So while it's still loading, we continue with the explanation. So, like I mentioned, the whole idea of doing this is to um, be able to observe, right? You want to ensure that your agent is able to perform as expected. So, for instance, um, in for us to be able to do this, we would be doing quite a couple of will I say evaluation tests on the agent themselves, right? You will see something like this, which you have previously done. You can see we are going to be running a quality evaluation, right, on the agent to test and see that it does what it's expected of itself, right? So you can see here, um, here is a sample on the various tests that was previously done, right? You can see here's a sample, you see the span ID, you see the trace ID, and you can see the coherences here, right? Part 4, part 5. Same thing with the fluency, right? So you can see the task adherence, right? So you can see, you can even analyze the results, right? So you can say, let's say for instance, we want to analyze the results. So you can see we are deploying GPT-4 mini to help us analyze the results, right? So we can say start analysis. Oh, so it says discover patterns, no actionable insights generated. So from, of course, the evaluation he was able to do is saying that no actionable items were really really found. And you might be wondering, right? What do this will I say for instance, what does the test actually look like? So here is a, a a sample of the results that was actually done, the evaluation that was done. Let's see the results. Let's see if we can download the results. Uh, Let me see if, yeah, maybe what I can do is just come here. Yeah, 1 minute. I'm trying to download the results. So yes, I'm gonna have here as notes. I'm gonna close all of this. Yeah, close all of this. And sure, I can take this up here. And yeah, so here is what the result looks like. Um, so in case you're wondering, here is the result file which we downloaded. The result file which we downloaded. Here is what it looks like. Here is what the result file looks like. So basically, it just says the you can see the evaluation output run, the eval number, the eval ID, when it was created, what was the query, and you will also see the output from the model as well based on that query. So that's how the results can be analyzed. Let's also check. Let's check to see if code spaces is up and running. All right. So if code spaces is actually taking time, we can actually do this same step we're doing. We can actually do it on our local environment. So I think I'm gonna see if I have that repo on. Let me see. Good. Okay. I think I have the repo here. Good, 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 good. So I have the repo. I will just share it here. So you can see since code spaces is actually taking some time, I have the repo in here. So of course we can, you know, basically run it like we wanted to, right? So here is the repo. Same thing code space will do, right? But of course we need to authenticate. So um, let's follow the steps. The initial step here, what we need to do, since we've already done the first step, we're going to be doing the carrying out the second step, which is basically to analyze, right? So here, all we need to do is to log in, right? So for us to log in, we need to have the terminal. So we can say a new terminal, right? We can see a new terminal here. I'm seeing something that looks like this, but anyway, yeah. Let's see. Let's see. Let's do an AZ login, and we say use device code. Let's see what happens. So we take this up here, right? We take this up here, and we come in here. We try to authenticate. Of course, we copy this code, right? That would help us authenticate into our environment. We choose the subscription where we have the agent. So if you remember, I spoke about the agent some time ago. Good. So you see, we have about 3 subscriptions here. But if I'm not mistaken, the agents are stored in this subscription ID 09, right? So I'm going to come here and choose the subscription ID 09, which is 1, right? So I've been able to authenticate, right? I've been able to authenticate. Now, the next step it says is once you authenticate, let's see. Yes, good. So because we've already authenticated and we've set the subscription, we can just run this to confirm that we are in the right subscription, right? So we can just do this to confirm we are in the right subscription. And you can see that, of course, it points to the right subscription, which is 09, right? So the next step for us to do is to run this, right? We need to run this, which is the .labs notebook setup this.sh, right? So if you're wondering what that file is, it is this file. You can see the path to the file is lab notebooks setup environment.sh, which is what you actually see here, right? So in order for us to run this, we just need to copy the paths. So we'll say copy paths, and we come here and do something like this. Yeah, right. We come here and do something like this. Or if we want to be on the, since we are currently in the directory where this is, we can run a pwd command. So the pwd command just tells us the current location where we are, right? So we want to be able to hit the location labs notebook day. So we can do this, since we can actually see the labs. So we can do this labs, right? Notebooks, and of course set up environment.sh, right? So it's going to try to get the various values. So you see it's asking us for the resource group name. And if you see here, we already have the resource group name here. You see this, the overview. So you can see this is the resource group name where we have the project. So we call it this, right? And we put that in here. So you see this is the resource group. Let me confirm the value. Okay, good. And then I submit that in. So now you see it begins to discover all the resources in that resource group, right? It begins to discover all the resources in the resource group. And now you see it has discovered all resources in there. So you see it says checking Azure CLI authentication. It's able to see what we are logged in as, is able to see what we are logging as a subscription. It checks the environment values. Azure subscription ID is set. The resource group is set. Azure resource group already set, as you can see, and discovering the resources in the resource group. So you can see here is the Foundry project endpoint. The Azure AI project endpoint already set. Model endpoint already set. Model deployment days. Azure AI model deployment already set. Application insight, telemetry, all of these details, and it verifies all of them, right? It verifies all the config, and of course it gives you this. And of course this is what you can find in here. This is what you can find in here. You can see this, right? So based on what we see now, we are actually good, right? We are good based on what we see now. So we are done with the section 2. Remember I told you we are doing basically 4 steps, which is we've done the infra. I told you I'd done the infra earlier on, and we have just completed now the dev environment setup. So the next thing we are doing is to activate the observe skill, right? And to be able to activate that, we'll follow these steps here. So it says click on AI toolkit icon. Do I see the AI toolkit icon? So from what I see here, let me see if I see the AI toolkit icon. Okay, here is the AI toolkit icon, and then it says under my resources, click on option to set default projects. So it says under my resources. So it says look for option, create in code with template, design this, local resources, Microsoft Foundry resources, connected resources, right? So yeah, these are what I can see. I don't see an option here to um I don't see an option to set the default project, right? But of course we can proceed. So now we need to verify that Foundry skill is installed, right? So we need to do this Control Shift P command to verify this. So we search for chat configure skill. So we'll do this Control Shift P. See, Control Shift P. Generally, what it's just saying is you come here and show and run command, and then you see here chat configure skills, just like you see here, chat configure skill. So we do this show and run command, chat configure skill, and then we look for what? Scroll down to the bottom of the list that is shown. Verify Microsoft Foundry is listed, right? So we come here, we do this, chat configure skill. Let's verify. Look at this. You can see Microsoft Foundry is listed here. Can you see that? Now it says look for um, look for AI toolkit install Foundry skill and select it to ensure the latest skill is installed. You will see a confirmation like this, which is the same file that you would get in a previous configuration step. So you just say AI toolkit install Foundry skill. So I come here, AI toolkit install Foundry skill, right? So you can see it's saying that it's already installed. You can see this. It says here that it's already installed. So agent skills Microsoft Foundry is already installed. So what is the next step? Um, well, explore sub skills. This is if you want to explore sub skills, right? So all the steps we just carried out now is what we can see here, right? You can see before starting, yeah. So these are some of the steps. So now that we already know that the skill is set up, now it's time for us to spin the skill, right? So you can see here, let's for us to be able to do this, we need to activate the GitHub Copilot chat, right? And for us to do this, of course, you click on GitHub Copilot, which is we already have this already on, which is what you see here on the chart. Right, this is what you see on the chart, and you may prompt them to start MCP servers, take required action to ensure the Foundry MCP server is active. So you say MCP list servers, MCP start server. So you see, we come here and say MCP list servers. Let's check for Microsoft Foundry. So you see, it says Foundry is stopped. So let's start the Foundry. Good. So now you can see it says that Foundry is on and it's discovered what 71 tools, right? So now you see it says the MCP for the Foundry MCP is running, right? So if you check here now, you go to this and you say list servers and you see Foundry MCP, you're going to see that Foundry MCP is currently running. It's no longer in the stopped mode like it said. Now, once we have configured that, you can also click on the tools icon to view and manage the currently active MCP server and tools available to your coding agent. So it says you can click on the tools icon in Copilot chat. So you can see here, this is, let me see. Yeah, let me see the tools. Let me see if I can see that. All right. So I'm not able to see the tools icon. Let me see if it's this. Um, settings, MCP servers. Yeah, workspaces, this user extension, Foundry MCP. So it shows us the Foundry MCP. Um, yeah, so that's basically that. That's basically that. So the next step, what we do now is since the Foundry MCP is running, the next step we do now is to try the observe skill. So let's see if we can trigger the observe skill by prompting our coding agent with a relevant task, right? So you see it says evaluate my agent at this endpoint using the observe skill, right? So for us to be able to do this, I think we need to get the agent endpoint, right? And for us to be able to get the agent endpoint, let's see if we can see that from here. Yeah. So I was just trying to load the agents. So let's see. Let's see. I was trying to just load the agent. Let's see how long it takes it to load the agents. I see the models now. Okay, I see the agents. You can see the agent builder is loading. Of course, these are the same things which you would see in the Azure portal. So we can view the code of the agent. So let's see this. So this is the project endpoint. The README. Good, good. So this is the code. This is the code of the agent, right? So what we are trying to do basically is to get the agent endpoint. And in order to be able to get the agent endpoint, I think the easiest way we can do this is just to come to the portal here. We come to the agent itself, right? This is the agent itself. And let's see if we can get the good. So although this is the endpoint of the agent, you can see this is the endpoint of the agent here, right? So we're going to say this based on what we can see. Based on what we can see here, let's copy this, which is the endpoint of the agent, right? Um, Here on the document it says evaluate my agent at this. So I'm going to copy this and come here and say evaluate my agent at this. And then I'm going to replace the endpoint with what I have here. I'm going to replace the endpoint with what I have here using the observe skill. So you can see that it says, yeah, replace the endpoint link for your Foundry project. Replace the endpoint link for your Foundry project, right? In fact, it's actually saying that rather than using the agent, um, rather than using the agent link, we should use the endpoint for the Foundry project, right? So let's see. So that means that we need to come here which is home, right? And you can see here's the project endpoint. So I will say this, and I'll come here and replace this with the project endpoint, right? The project endpoint. I think that's about the same anyway. And once that is done, the next step says, yeah, let's run this and then let's see what happens, right? So you can see that it's working, right? It's analyzing the details right now, right? So you can see now that it's analyzing the details. It's reading the environment, reading the skills, right? It's looking at the endpoint, it's thinking, it's reviewed three files. Now it says, let me check the project structure and environment, right? It's getting the various values and now it's evaluating. Now it says I have good, now I have more tools. Let me check agent management. You can see now, good. You can see review the files, search for AI project endpoint. You can see now. Let me check your agent status and determine the best evaluation approach. Now it's gotten the agent. You can see perfect. I found agent promise Uche travel portal version 3, a prompt agent using GPT 4.1 with web search capabilities. I also see you have evaluation data ready. Let me set up the evaluation workflow, right? So you see it's setting up the evaluation workflow, right? So I'm going to click allow. I'm going to click allow. So you see, good. So I'm going to click allow again. So now you see, let me run the batch evaluation with a baseline set of quality and safety evaluators, agent version 3. So now it's evaluating. So now it says this. So I allow that. Now it's running the batch evaluation with a baseline set of quality, right? It's thinking, it's found the MCP server. You can see. Now let me run this, right? So you see it keeps running, it keeps thinking and it's letting you know the evaluation is in progress, right? You can see. So these are the steps that is taking in order to be able to achieve this task, right? So it says this. So now I allow this. So it's running a baseline batch evaluation. You can see waiting 30 seconds for you see. So you see waiting for evaluation to process. So you see while all of this is going on, it's running the batch process. Now, as it's also doing this, you will notice that something is also happening here. If you go to build, you go to the agent, evaluations, you will see that currently an evaluation is in process, right? Can you see this? This evaluation is being done right now. You can see the date, the time, right? So all of these are from here. You can see allow this. So even though we are here in VS Code, the evaluations are actually being run in Azure using the observe skill, right? So that is currently in process. And you can see here also, it tells us that it's still in process, right? You can see the evaluation is in process. So you can click on this, right? Because it's in progress, it can't give us much data right now, right? But obviously we can see that it's in progress, right? Let's see where we are at here. So now it's saying the evaluation is still processing, is still reasoning. So you see, it's telling us the current status. What are the options? So it's telling me that it's either it continues to pull every minute onto completion, or I can check the portal or get a monitoring script, right? So those are the options it's giving me, right? So those are the options. The evaluation is running, but we take several minutes to complete. 10 test queries times 5 evaluators equal to what? 50 plus LLM calls. 50 plus LLM calls, right? So we can see what is actually going on. So let's check here on the portal to see if this is still running. Now you can see that it's still in progress. The evaluation itself is still in progress. It's going to keep running until that is done, right? So, I mean, I can give it the options and say, wait here. I can continue. So I can say option one, right? So you can see I said the option one, which is wait here, and it will keep polling till the evaluation or until the batch queries are complete, right? So it will keep running until they are complete. So while all of this is going on, right, all you will see here, oh, look at this. Look at this. It's completed now. Can you see this? Is right now is completed. And look at evaluated system tokens is this evaluation tokens, right? You can see this groundedness, task adherence, intent resolution, groundedness 90%, which is 9 over 10, indirect attack 100%. Wow. Wow. Look at that. Look at that. And of course, you can see the result of your evaluation. You can always see them here. Let me see if I can open this in a file so that you can view. All right, let me see if I can open this in a file so you can view. I think I can take it here. Good. So you can see here is the you can see I'm closing this so you see. So here's the query. It says what flights available from Seattle to Paris in August. Right, there are two flights from Seattle to Paris on August 15. Economy days, business days on Contoso Airways. Context: customer looking for Seattle to Paris flight in August 2025. So you can see these are the results of the options or the various queries that it has done, right? So that is that. You can see, in fact, you can actually say, you can ask it to analyze the results. Let's see if it can analyze your samples. Let's see what happens here. So it's trying to analyze the feedback it got. Okay, so we are seeing one sample, one cluster, zero passed, one failed, right? So you can see the failure is saying incomplete filter validations and clarification steps to confirm the intended and correct time frame before delivering information, right? So that was the error or the issue it got, right? So, I mean, this is just how you can actually evaluate your agents using the Foundry AI skill called Observe to check and confirm that your agent is actually performing as it ought to, right? So, I mean, this has really been a wonderful practical session, and we are seeing how we can actually carry this live and actually do some evaluations on our agent. So, this you can see here the results. You can see the result here of the evaluation. Evaluator pass failed pass rate. You can see this groundedness 90%, token usage, key finding. You can see area of improvement, groundedness issue. One response likely included information not fully grounded in the provided context of web search results. Let me fetch the details to identify which specific query failed the groundedness, right? So you can see I say allow. So you see it's beginning to reason. Now it's providing us with an overall assessment. Now you can see recommended actions. It says strengthen grounding instructions, right? Critical grounding rule only site specific data, price availability, dates, features that you have directly retrieved through web search or that are explicitly stated in the conversation context. If you cannot find specific information through web search, clearly state I don't have current information about that information, right? So that is something we can actually try, right? So that's something we can actually try. Of course, so now we've seen how we can actually um, check our agents to see if our agents are performing as expected, and this is one very good analysis on how to carry that out. I hope you were able to learn something today about this. Um, I think we've done justice to this topic, and if you have any questions regarding this, don't hesitate to reach out to me. Of course, I can give you, share better understanding of this, or I can help with your queries, right? And let's see. So, like I said, don't hesitate to reach out if you have any queries, and I can provide you with answers to this, right? Also, remember to follow us on our channels on LinkedIn. You can look for the Microsoft Foundry and Azure User Group. On YouTube, you can look for Microsoft Foundry and Azure User Group. Also, we are available on Meetup, right? So on Meetup, you can check us out on Microsoft Foundry and Azure User Group, right? So, of course, we are available on these channels. We also have a WhatsApp group. If you need to join the WhatsApp group, you let me know, DM me, and of course, we will um, provide you with more details. Um, at this point in time, I'd like to thank you all for those of you who actually gained from this session. I'd like to thank you all, and I'll see you next time. Also, For those of you who are not aware, I think let me share this here. Let me see. I will come here to this, okay, and I will come to Meetup. So we are having a live session. Yes, we are having a live session, and in case you're not aware, yes, we're having a live session, which is Microsoft Build Local Host. So, in case you can't see that, I'm sharing my screen. Yes. So this is the next event we are having. This is going to be a live event. It's going to be at um, the um, Capgemini office, which is um, Ray Plane 1. Um, you can see the address here in the flyer. Um, Let me see. Probably I can display the flyer in a bigger way. Okay, good. So maybe here, probably I can bring it here and see. That's not working. Here, good. Can probably bring it down here. So here's the flyer, right, guys? Um, like I mentioned, this event is going to be happening on Monday, June 15, 2026, from 3 p.m. to 7:30 p.m., right? And this is the address where it's going to be happening. This address is in the Netherlands, Utrecht in the Netherlands. Um, if by any chance you happen to be there, don't hesitate to come. But before you do, you need to register, right? You need to register. And of course, you can find the registration link here. Here's the link to registration. I'm going to post it here. So, just as we always do, all you need to do is come in here, you click on the link, and you should be able to register for the event. So, you can see this event is on the Microsoft website. Yes, so here's the registration link. I've posted the registration link on the chat. Don't hesitate to register for this particular event. It's going to be live. It's going to be an in-person event. We are not streaming, so don't hesitate to register. And I hope to actually see you there. I'm going to be live there direct, and I hope to actually see you there. It's happening, like I said, it's happening on the 15th, right? It's happening on the 15th of June, 2026, from 3 p.m. to 7:30 p.m., right? And that is the address. I do hope to actually see you there. Yes, this is going to be our first live physical event, and I know it's going to be so interesting, so interesting, so interesting. So, would love to see you there. Catch you up. See you next. Yeah, I believe this is going to be our next session. Yeah, this is going to be our next session, our first live event. Yes, this is going to be our first live event. So I do hope to actually see you there. Cheers and bye for now, everyone. It's good. It's been a wonderful session, and I do hope you learned one or two things from this session. See you all next time. Awesome, awesome. I will be rounding the session here at this moment. All right. Take care, everyone, and see you at the next live event.